Hello, welcome to Warblog. This is an introductory video to this game, Battle of Inchon, Operation Chromite. Essentially, I'm still at the semi-development stage, but enough to sort of probably forget about it now for 100 years. But it's a difficult one. There's a few things in here that make it difficult, complex. So I'll just go over the basics. I'm deliberately sort of on this part, so not much of a write-up. But essentially, you get certain turns to do things. So on turn 1 you can do naval bombardments. On turn 5 and turn 6 you can also do naval bombardments. So what we're talking about there are using these to bomb whatever you can. You can move them around, bomb anything you like. The reason I put that limit on there is because otherwise you just do it every turn, and it would sort of spoil the game. But I can't put the rules in there to stop you doing that. So it's a sort of what was it, fair use or goodwill, or an honour system. So that's that sort of ground rule. The next thing to maybe say is that I really don't know what forces there are. I've been looking at the Wikipedia page. I've even got MacArthur's War by Stanley Weintraub, and there's also quite a few other fairly specific sites like this one, and to be quite honest, I keep reading it, and I really can't figure out who's who and where anyone is. It really doesn't sort of say essentially who the North Koreans were. And it mentions that they had the 226th Independent Marine Regiment and 918th Artillery Regiment on Wolmo-do, which is Wolmo-do is this little island here. So what we got there is the 226th there and the 918th Artillery. I've doubled these up just because there's 3 spaces, but they're quite weak units. I mean, they'll get blown to bits by the artillery, by the naval barrage. And you think there's a lot of ships there. There are basically about 216 ships in total. So I don't know, but other than the specifics for these, I don't know what North Korean troops were present. So everything is from the 22nd Regiment, because there is notation of the 22nd Regiment being present. The North Korean 22nd Infantry Regiment had moved into Inchon before dawn on September the 15th, which is when the landings took place, but they retreated to Seoul soon after the main landing. There are mentions somewhere in here about the garrison at Inchon, as though there was sort of like a separate garrison force, but it could be that I've just not read anything properly. I mean, there are quite a few other, there's this one here, but everything is sort of more, there's the 1st Marine Regiment, the 7th Marine Regiment, who I don't think I've actually got. See, the 7th Infantry Division, they sort of landed afterwards. In fact, I might have to reread this bit, because I think it goes on to see, they land on the 21st, which is like days later. So, and then there's that, which is nonsense. There's all this other stuff. So basically, there's a lot of information, but nothing really actually says how much the North Koreans had. Although there is a very specific reference in the Wikipedia. It says they had 6,500 infantry, and if I've sort of roughly estimated it, but each one of these is 200. That makes about, and then if this lot is 500, this makes that about 30 companies. So there are about 30 companies, but I've given them additional artillery units because the hills were stashed with artillery, and some air defence units, and plus there's these 2 spare armoured companies. So I've probably got a bit more, but the thing to know about the Inchon landings is that there was hardly any defence, and the North Koreans sort of ran away. It was the audacity of the not so much the audacity of the strike. I mean, essentially, they had a 3-hour window to land. There was sort of like immense mud flats. You really need to sort of read all this, but there's the Corsairs, I think, and there's all the fleets. You can see how many boats there are. They actually had some V26s or 29s or something like that. I haven't put those in. What I'm looking for are the mud flats. I love these snazzy dazzle camouflages. They're so sort of like modern even now. But there's the first wave going in, as you can see, and they've completely bombarded the the island there. And pretty sure that somewhere here, no, it's not. I can't see it. There's some pretty good pictures of the. There it is. Landing craft and bulldozers stuck in the mud. I mean, look, there's a big landing craft, and so the mud flats, when tide went out, they couldn't really. Well, I guess they could have maybe made a marsh, but you couldn't get the landing crafts over there. And I was thinking, well, how would you do that these days? And I think this is where you might have hovercraft. Anyway, maybe not. But so anyway, it was an easy victory. But when you look at it like this, you sort of think, that might be a bit tough. And I haven't really even sort of figured out what the factors are. This is actually a really good video to watch. I watched a couple of other ones and they were pretty crap. This one sort of makes a bit of sense. But the thing about the Inchon landing is that it's actually it's described as one of the greatest military manoeuvres of the century. Because when you look at the video and you sort of see why it wasn't a great military victory in the sense that there were like the Battle of the Bulge. They landed huge amounts of troops against in a place where there were virtually no troops at all. And that was what made it a genius. Then they wanted to march on Seoul. This is basically the road to Seoul, and these ones should possibly be just tracks, but I can't be bothered to change them now. But they basically go on to Seoul, and they're criticised for having taken too long to do that, and then they could have taken it a lot sooner. But the whole idea of this is to land like 65,000 troops and take them towards Seoul, and then to cut off create a hammer anvil type position in Korea, and to cut the North Korean forces off as they're marching south, etc., etc. So. But it's actually a fairly important battle, and probably the most important battle of the Korean War, and so it's probably not really that great. So you've got to sort of take it with a pinch of salt and sort of think, well, it's a sort of rough estimation. You've got the geography, but more importantly, you've got the large naval forces, etc., etc. So you already know the special rules for that. There's a bunch of links there. So there's all the units, and what I'm going to do is just have a play on the first few turns, and I'm hoping it sort of works because I had to redo the naval. So on the first turn, you basically haven't got any of your units, so you've got your naval movement to do, or naval fire, and here's the Rochester and the USS Toledo, which was the core ships. These are all Canadian ships. We've got Jamaica, this is HMS, and HMS Kenya, two British ships, and these are all USS, American destroyers. They're all pretty much within range of this first section, but you've got these things to take out as well. And I think we want to move some of these ships sort of more towards this area. The only thing to say is this artillery will be able to fire back. This is the sort of newer naval combat page. I've stuck the big title Naval Combat up there for no real reason, but 0.4 no damage. Okay, Okay. Okay, so the Toledo and the Rochester, I'm going to fire on these units here. So the Toledo and the Rochester. Okay. And for brevity, I'm not going to bother moving any of these. So let's fire a bunch into there. Why you can't fire? Oh no, it's still loading up. Okay. 0.3. Damage 1.5. I'll go one more on that. 0.6. So what's that now? 2.1, 0.7, nothing. Okay. Incidentally, in the MacArthur book, just before they launched, I can't remember, there was a radio communication against one of the ships, and it says, they're basically saying, are the airstrikes in? It said, yep, we got the napalm. And they're talking about 5,000 pounds of napalm that they're going to drop, but the radio operators misheard the communication and thought they said that we've got the A-bomb. And the word spread around like wildfire that they were going to drop an A-bomb on Inchon, which is an interesting anecdote. So he's depressed 5.4, 2.1, nothing at all. So that's the first turn. So the next turn is now the North Korean turn. Now I'm not going to do any of their movement because I want to maybe get through these opening sequences. I'm really not going to do it in 15 minutes. I'm going to do another one, but just to make that even simpler, I might move some of this armour across actually. Okay, I'll leave that. Right, so on this turn we get some air power. I get the feeling that I'm not going to be able to use it. Yeah, because of my stupid rules. Okay, well it's nearly 15 minutes. I'm just going to upload this and then get back to it. Okay, well, miraculously I did actually resolve the air problem. No effect. Now I don't have particularly good naval beach landing rules, so I'm not sure how this is going to work out. Maybe I should allow the ships to fire another round, but I said no, so I'll play by the rules. So we're in the second turn. I think what I shouldn't have struck these because they've probably recovered a bit now. North Koreans, again, not going to do anything. I'm not even going to bother moving the armour because I just want to get through the naval landings because essentially they are pretty much as they happen. So here we have 3rd Battalion of the 5th Marine Regiment. So there's two companies there because it's a battalion, and then they got basically about 10 tanks from the 1st Battalion of the US Marines. So that's what we got there. But what we'll also try to do, because he's only depression 0.1, is almost full strength, so we'll try and attack this artillery unit. Point 2. Got hit by anti-aircraft, but still managed to put 0.5 in. Well, that knocks him down a little bit. 0.7, not much so. He's at 0.4, so I might as well go for this one again. .1. Is it worth it? .8. Okay, so anyway. Now, if they get an attack or retreat, I think they die. Four to 1, a DE. Well, that was good. And well, they're going to have to come ashore anyway. Stuck on the beach. 2 to 1 and an exchange. Okay, well at least he's still there on the beach. Heavier fighting than I anticipated. Okay, so we're going to end this turn. This is a causeway between there and there. I'm going to fire this artillery onto this armoured unit. Point 3. I think this is probably a duplicate of one of these. 1.1. No effect, and we've got some more artillery over here, which is actually probably the one that's next to him. No effect, and there's probably no point in attacking with the Marines because they will lose. We fired all the artillery. I'm not going to make any movements. I've got all these fleets entrenched. I'll have to do something to stop that. Good. Anyway, end turn. Basically, this marine landing took place at sort of like 7 in the morning or something, and then they had to wait because of the tidal range. They had a 3-hour window to sort of do this. It was probably 1.5 hours of the tide coming in and 1.5 of it going out. There was actually, they were able to get to that point, and these were I think this was a beach, but these are ports. There's no beach here, it's docks. They went straight up to the docks as well as down here. I think there were docks. And this is all docks. It's not a river. That should be a big sort of square bit of dock there. But they had to wait. They had to hold on to this island for 12 hours before they could get reinforcements to come in, which is interesting. Depression 0, Depression 1.8. It's obviously got an exchange. And he didn't recover because he fired. I'm using my air power on this unit. And I think I might up these Corsairs so they're a little more powerful, because no effect, no effect. 0.8, it's hardly worth it. Well, we can bring him ashore. DR. Okay. He went there. Well, I can move my armour there. I don't think these people can move. They're still technically on the beach. An exchange 2 to 1 and 11. So much bloodier fighting than was originally sort of took place, but now that they did actually sort of cut this off. This is a sort of a beachhead. It's quite difficult to actually see. I wonder if we've got a map. There, you can see the little beachhead thing, and there's that sort of tidal thing I was at least alluding to earlier. So they sort of hold that for 12 hours, and Waldo Island. It's a little. It seems a little harder to crack than I thought it would be. But anyway, so it's now the North Korean turn, and they're going to hold their defences, but I think it's only fair to consider they're going to be worth at least 4, 12, so we're not going to get a 1-to-1 at all. But we can certainly fire a lot of artillery in there. .4. .2. Oh, look at that. Gets him down to a Depression 10. That's not good. Bated breath. Two to one. Look at that, combat ratios. 2.6 versus 9. I mean, how minuscule can you get? 0.9 he was defending on, and they got a 12. That was insane. So these tank units taking a hell of a pounding. When the morale results come in, that would have been a morale loss. Okay, so we'll end that turn. So now what we got, we can get these people off the beach. We go in here without Corsairs. Oh, look at that, he was shot down. You don't see that often. No effect, shot down. 0.1. I've not done this before, so it's all sort of new. You know, the sort of balance of the game. Depression's 3.5. Well, we've managed by the breadth of I was maybe forestalling myself there, but with a 4-to-1 with a 1 DE, we've managed to just hold on to the historic precedent. Taking a breather there. We've managed to take Green Beach with a Walchy Island, Walmidoo, Moontip Island. I chose the Korean names. This was sort of like Signal Hill, and this is Cemetery Hill or something like that. But that was when I hadn't read enough to really know the weighting of the difference between the two. But this is the one we take first, and they sit there for 12 hours for the tide to come in, and then for the next lot of troops to come through. In the meantime, I guess people can fire their artillery. .6 versus 2.1. I don't think they're going to try and do that, playing a little historically, but so that's the first step of the historic simulation, so to speak, taking off Green Beach and Walmidoo Island, whatever it's called. And we've only got 2 Corsairs. Can't believe they shot one down. Okay, and so the next important thing are these beaches here. Nearly 15 minutes. Nine seconds left. Not even going to bother with that one. I'll see you in a bit. Okay, well, I have actually done a couple of things here. He's got 5 movement left. That will we'll have to move these units though. Let's move one there, just move everything down a little. Basically the naval units shouldn't from now on entrench themselves. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 2 on each. 2. 3 on this one. .8. .4. 0.4. 0.5 and 1.6. 1.1 and no effect. So this is turn 6. Now the Corsairs, you can see the icons are now 2s, but they still haven't actually changed. In this game they're still 1s, because when it loads the game it duplicates the sort of data table that I have, and so that's sort of set because I started this one. But new games they'll be worth 2 1, not 1 1 as they were before. So I've doubled their strength. Both onto that. 5.15, 2.1. Okay, we'll leave all these people here, although we will move him. No, he's depression 0, we'll leave him there. And to make things easy, I'm just going to skip through the North Korean turn. And go back now to United Nations turn. It's interesting they're calling them United Nations. The Wikipedia thing calls it United Nations. So a lot of these are US Marines, but they're not. They're all flagged up as in the UN colours. Just move these guys so we've got the last of those stupid entrenchments out of the way. Yep, they're all dug in 0, which means none of them has tried to dig in. Basically, naval units won't dig in. Ah, look, as you can see, we've got the naval landings are now in place. So over here, as you can see, a lot of units. So this is the 3rd Battalion of the Republic of Korea. I think it's MacArthur. Someone notes that basically if these had been Japanese or German soldiers that they were making a naval invasion against, they probably wouldn't have stood a chance. Because a lot of them were just raw recruits from the Korean side. You have to read up that in, but it does sort of, the whole point here is that North Koreans really didn't have much chance anyway. We've still got let's not do with naval bombardment. Okay, so what do we want to do here? I think possibly this is interesting because they won't be able to move in there. So he's depression's 0.6 and half, so he's pretty much worth 3, and he's worth 3.5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then one of these crappy units. Defend a retreat. Mess that up. The armour can't move. I'll have to reconsider how these naval landings work. Exchange. Another exchange. Wow. Okay, here. What I should really do is give these marine units 4 movement. I think that's what I'll do, because then I'll at least have something possibly to move in with. So it's depression point 3. DR. So he's got 1 movement. That's not enough to get in there. Depression nothing. DR. And again he can't move in there. Oh. DE. So they cleaned that beach. They cleaned Blue Beech out. They didn't quite catch this beach. So this one's proved a bit tougher. Okay, so we're ending that turn. .5, 7.1. That's because there's a river across there. Okay, reinforcing that. Four to 1 DR. So they pushed the United Nations forces back from that hex. But do they have anything to move into there? I don't think they do. 0 movement. 0. 0. 0. 0. No, they can't move in there. So that ends that turn. I'm going to have to do something about the beach movement, because they should be able to win and then move on to the beach. Now they get more Corsairs, so they've got 4. Well, first thing I'm going to do here is land everyone. Expression 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's put 6 of these guys in. DE. There's only a 3-to-1 though. Push the rest of this against this stack. Maybe that's not a good idea. What are the odds? 2.6, 0, 0. So it's going to go 6, 9, 10. Yeah, it's going to be about 2-to-1. Let's go for it. Look at that, I did it. Wow. I didn't even use my air power. So these guys are still on the beach, basically. An exchange. Seven to 1 DE. Well, I don't think we're going to go up against this armoured unit. Okay. Well, that was possibly a mistake. Less than a minute left. That demonstrates how well you know the whole stack doesn't get blown up by artillery, but you can still. Super stacks like that just aren't affected as much, clearly. And they're not going to attack that stack. No way. I'm going to try and do another video, but I'm going to have to keep this short, so I'm going to leave this one here. Okay, well, I have actually upped all the Marines to 4, but that's in the core game, so I'm quite happy with the way it's going at the moment, but so sort of movement, I can't remember where I was really. Just North Korean turn. Okay, so they've pretty much moved everything. I am sort of speeding through this just to get the sort of general feeling for the gameplay. Okay. So, depression 4.6, depression 2, depression 8. Aborted. It's because they've got quite a lot of anti-aircraft. I'm going to save that last one for this guy. Depression none. Well, better than nothing. This is 1.5, 5.5, 5.5, so that'll be 1 to 1, 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 4 to 1, 5 to 1, 6 to 1, just do the whole lot. Okay, the reason I did a whole lot is because if the more greater chance of winning, and if they win, they've still got another movement. And they might not be able to move into there. Oh, yeah, they can. Four to 1 DE. There's no point in moving that artillery. This guy's in good order. This guy's basically dead, and so is he. Defend a retreat. That was good. I still can't move into that hex. That's the frustrating thing about that. As I said, if I do a replay, that should actually be slightly improved upon. 1 to 1. Ouch! I lost all those people. I was sort of slightly aware of that. But that was bad. Historically, these people met no resistance at all, and they pretty much just landed and then just started immediately preparing for the inland drive. Up here it's a lot more chaotic, and as I'm still trying to speed through it, I can't put more than 4 videos together because of YouTube to make more than 1 hour. So I'm going to have to get this one, make sure it's fractionally less than 15 minutes, but that will have to be it. I'm quite happy with this actually, as a sort of replication of what happened, combined with the sort of the improvements I've made. I think if you made a more concerted effort to sort of play it, at your own pace, you would do things like move these units into place. I mean, I've tried to put sort of things respectively all over the place to reflect that the fact they didn't know the lanes were coming here and here. They could well have been coming here, but at the same time, I'm not sure whether there's too many units, and basically the 22nd did actually retreat back to Seoul, almost straight after the landings. But there is, if you play it, there's probably scope for putting up quite fierce resistance, as long as you don't make mistakes like that. The attack and retreat option, when you're at sea, I might put in a rule so that if you're at sea, you can't be forced back. But to be quite honest, if you get an attack or retreat and you're on a beach hex, in theory you do die. But that was just a bit hasty of me, really. But I think this would be a very different game if we'd been able to move ashore when we made those winning moves. So this is really not a perfect example of how it should play. So what have we got in here? Depression 3.5, depression 0, but we're running out of units to actually do anything with. So there's that's not really a defensive unit. I'm not going to bother moving those around, but I will try and shuffle these guys around. And just go on to the next move, I think. What have we got here? Oh. Okay, end turn. So they're still struggling to get onto the beach. Watered. Half strength. Okay. Defender retreat. Defender eliminated. Okay. But we're still running out to the beach. So we're definitely going to have to... I'm very tempted to play this again, but definitely not for another hour. Depression 0. DR. Still got some movement of sorts. Let's see whether we can oust this anti-aircraft company. I think he should be on a... No, he's still on 3 because he's entrenched. We've got a DR on him. Exchange. Okay. Right. Definitely got to sort of think about wrapping it up. But so over here we don't really have much that can truly start resisting. Or do we? Well, I'm not going to bother firing anything because I just want to whiz through it now. We can move something in there. It's an open space. Try and take out this unit. DR. So he's now on 1.5. DR. Interesting. I'm going to leave it at that. Do the end turn there. I'll make air power into here. A nice stack of 3. Exchange. Fresh unit. Not for long though. DE. Huh. Attack a retreat. Okay, that's it. I just sort of rushed that through. I mean, I think to be fair, I need to do this again. I think it would be a very different game if I could actually made the beach landings after winning an attack. Sitting on the beach is just stupid because they just move back in. I have to do it again. That just wasn't working. So hopefully with the 4 movement, as you can see there, it will. I'll be able to sort of make that landing. I don't really have time to do it now. And it probably won't ever do it, but it's nice, interesting sort of,